Well, well, look who wandered into my channel. Tell me, noble traveler, from which land do you hail? Ancient kingdom, fast food drive-through? Scribble it down in the comments. And don't forget to fling this video at your loved ones. It confuses the algorithm in a good way. Let's roll. I can still recall the precise instant my world turned upside down. It was a Tuesday in March, precisely 2:40 in the afternoon, etched into memory only because the time glowed quietly from the lower corner of my computer screen. I was sitting in the home office Julia and I had painted a muted sage, her idea after reading somewhere that the hue promoted calm and concentration. The irony isn't lost on me now. What I discovered next obliterated any illusion of peace. The room carried a faint aroma of brewed coffee, mixed with the lavender scent of the candle Julia always lit on the shelf behind my desk. Outside the window, the neighbor's dog was in full voice again, probably harassing a squirrel racing along the fence line. It's funny how those ordinary moments, the scent, the sounds, the colors, burn into memory when they mark the last heartbeat of the life you thought you knew. The version of reality where I trusted my wife without hesitation. I had taken the afternoon off from my position as a financial analyst to organize the paperwork for a mortgage refinance. Interest rates had taken a favorable dip, and thanks to our steady credit habits, we were about to save nearly $400 a month. That savings already had a future. Ella's college fund, Jack's orthodontist bills. Let's see where we're at, I murmured, pulling up our credit monitoring site to verify everything was in order before the bank did their own check. It was supposed to be a quick task. Nothing unusual, just one more box to tick. My credit score appeared first, 785. Exactly where I'd expected. Years of deliberate effort had made credit management into a personal science, always paying on time, keeping balances low, and maintaining the right credit mix. Then I clicked over to Julia's file, fully expecting numbers on par with mine. If anything, she was even more detail-oriented. Budget spreadsheets, color-coded tabs, meticulous records. But then I saw it, and blinked. Refreshed the browser. Still the same. 642. My voice caught in my throat as I whispered, "No way!" Her score had always matched mine, or even edged slightly higher. She used to tease me about winning at our little financial game. But 642? That was bad. That kind of score gets flagged. It's the sort of number that can derail a loan application or get you denied a lease. I dug into the report, eyes scanning for answers. Mortgage? Flawless record. Car loan? Also spotless. Our 3 shared cards, Chase Freedom, Amex Blue, Capital One Venture, no missed payments. Then something near the bottom caught my eye and made my stomach churn. Chase Sapphire Reserve. Type, joint account. Account holders, Julia Maxwell and Mason Clark. Current balance, $18,547. Credit limit, $2,000. Payment status, delinquent, 3 months overdue. My coffee cup slipped from my grip and shattered on the desk, spilling hot liquid across our refinance forms. I didn't even flinch. Couldn't move. Mason Clark, Julia's best friend. Her gay soulmate, as she'd affectionately called him. Mason, who had been part of our family circle for half a decade. He attended every cookout, helped us unload boxes when we moved into this house. He was the one who ran behind Ella's bike the first time she ditched her training wheels. Mason, who had stood beside Julia as her man of honor when we renewed our vows just 2 years ago. Gay Mason, trustworthy Mason, safe Mason. My hands began to tremble as I opened the transaction history linked to the account. The page took forever to load. Each second dragged like molasses. And when the list of charges finally appeared, I silently begged for it all to be a mistake. But there it was, line after line confirming the unthinkable. Ritz-Carlton, Miami Beach, 2447, February 9-12, couples romance package, ocean view, Nobu Malibu, $485. February 14th, Valentine's fix for 2. Tiffany & Co., 3267, February 15th, Atlas Collection earrings. Victoria's Secret, $428. March Sue, assorted items, Beverly Hills location. Four Seasons, Beverly Hills, 1893, March 810, Weekend, couples, spa retreat. I scrolled endlessly. Each entry another stab to the chest. The pattern was unmistakable. Trips and dinners booked during weekends. She said she'd be away for work or visiting her sister in San Francisco. Luxurious dinners on nights she claimed she was stuck late at the office. High-end shopping sprees during times she told me she was working out at the gym. "Oh my God," I choked out, barely audible. I yanked the printer from under the desk, my hand shaking as I jammed paper into the tray. The machine whirred to life, printing out page after page of heartbreak, each sheet another piece of undeniable proof. 8 pages per minute, all of it damning. I reached for a yellow highlighter, her favorite, labeled in neat handwriting, for important documents only, and started marking the dates and charges that mattered most. February 14th, Valentine's Day. I had been home with the kids, flipping heart-shaped pancakes, while Julia claimed to be stuck at a company training session that couldn't be rescheduled. I even apologized for giving her a hard time about it. March 3rd, my 38th birthday. Julia was too unwell to attend the festivities, spending the evening curled beneath a blanket, battling a relentless migraine. I prepared her some herbal tea and moved quietly through the house, doing my best to keep the children calm so she could sleep. But while I played the role of caretaker at home, a $673 charge lit up our credit card statement from Le Bernardin, one of the most exclusive dining spots in Los Angeles. April 20th, our 10th anniversary. I'd surprised her that morning with a bouquet of roses and a handwritten card, simple, heartfelt. She'd handed me a coffee mug that read, "World's okayest husband." I laughed, thinking it was just her quirky sense of humor. But Mason, he didn't do mugs. He gave her a gift from Tiffany & Co., an item priced at $32.67. And that was only the beginning. The real truth emerged from the hotel invoices. The Ritz-Carlton, the Four Seasons, the St. Regis. Weekend getaways, always booked for 2, and always planned during times when Julia insisted she was traveling for work or off with friends on a girls' retreat. So I did what any analytical mind would do. I opened Excel. I needed to measure the betrayal, to translate heartbreak into numbers. The total charges were overwhelming. Transaction count, 247. Average amount spent, $75 per purchase. Hotel stays, 19 separate bookings. Restaurant bills, 43. Jewelry purchases, 8. Lingerie, 11 transactions. 11. My gay best friend had bought my wife lingerie on 11 different occasions. That's when I knew I wasn't just suspicious. I was investigating. I needed confirmation. I opened the one app Julia always teased me for never using, Instagram. I typed in his name, Mason Clark. His account was public, polished like a fashion spread. Bio, digital marketing manager, proud gay man, taken by Tyler Reynolds, living my truth in LA. I scrolled. Bottomless brunch photos, pride celebrations, selfies with Tyler Reynolds, his boyfriend of 3 years, matching clothes, radiant smiles, love-soaked captions. Poor Tyler, I thought. I tapped over to Tyler's page. He was a luxury real estate agent with Compass. His feed was all elegant properties, curated lifestyle content, and countless shots of him with Mason. Their latest post from just 3 days back was taken at a Malibu wine tasting. Caption: 3 years with this incredible man. Here's to forever. I knew Tyler. He'd helped us search for real estate investments the year before. Professional, gracious, easy to like. When we nearly closed on a place, he even brought us a bottle of wine. I rifled through my desk until I located his business card. Held it for a while, because making that call meant shattering whatever fragile story remained intact. There would be no going back after this. My phone felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds as I tapped in the number. Tyler Reynolds, Compass Realty. How can I assist you today? His voice was cheerful, polished, expecting a new client. Tyler, I began slowly. This is Peter Maxwell, Julia's husband. Peter, hey, great to hear from you. Are you two ready to look at more listings? I've just landed something in Manhattan Beach that I think you'll Tyler, I interrupted, I have something serious to ask. It's sensitive. His voice changed instantly. The friendly tone vanished. Is something wrong? Is Julia all right? Did you know Mason shares a credit card account with her? Silence. So long that I checked my screen to make sure we hadn't disconnected. I'm sorry, what? He finally said, barely above a whisper. I'm holding the statements, I replied. $18,500 on hotels, fine dining, luxury jewelry, quite the friendship. That can't be true, he stammered. You must be mistaken. Mason is gay. We live together. We've been planning to adopt. We've got a meeting scheduled with the agency next month. Then check his wallet, I said, my voice cold. Chase Sapphire Reserve, joint account with Julia Maxwell. I heard movement in the background, drawers opening, footsteps across hardwood floors. He's in the shower, Tyler murmured. I got home early from a showing. More shuffling, the sound of papers being sifted through. Then a gasp. A soft, stunned gasp that told me everything. Oh my God, he breathed. His voice was shaking. I'm looking at it right now. This can't be happening. When was it opened? I asked, my tone steady. 13 months ago, he whispered. Right about the time Julia started taking more business trips and girls' weekends. Jesus Christ, the proof. What exactly am I looking at, Peter? Want me to walk you through it? February 14th, Nobu, Malibu, $485. An intimate dinner for two, right on Valentine's Day. Romantic setting, supposedly innocent. Valentine's Day. He claimed he had to work late, said the campaign was at a crunch point. Showed up later with a bag of In-N-Out, like that somehow made it okay. March 15th. Ritz-Carlton, Miami Beach, $2,400. That same weekend, he insisted he was stuck at a digital marketing seminar. He even sent me pictures, lanyards, panels, neon lighting. Swore the place was packed with tech bros and sales dudes. Apparently, someone's tech support involved lingerie. This can't be real. Peter, please tell me this isn't real. His voice trembled, rising with disbelief. Peter, these charges from Agent Provocateur. That's a lingerie brand. 11 purchases, totaling $3,200. So either Mason has a very expensive drag persona, or he's been buying lace and silk for your wife. Tyler's voice went cold, razor sharp. I'm going to end him. The setup, the trap. Wait, I interrupted, a new idea flashing to life. Don't go after him yet. Let's handle this together. What are you saying? Confront him as a team? Three-way call, you, me, Mason, one shot, make him talk. That's genius, brutal, I'm in. Tyler's tone turned lethal, honed like a blade. I just heard the shower turn off. He'll be out in 5. I'll call from the kitchen. You'll be on the line. Tyler, I'm sorry this is how you're finding out. We're both being taken for fools, Peter. Let's make damn sure they feel it. I waited. The credit card statements were spread all over my desk, edges curling under a coffee spill I hadn't even bothered to clean. The stain had seeped deep into the wood, didn't matter. In the corner of my screen, a photo glowed back at me. Last Christmas, all of us in cheesy matching pajamas. Mason had taken that picture. The phone buzzed. No name on the caller ID. Peter Maxwell, I answered, voice clipped and stiff. Peter, hey man! Mason's voice was bright, casual, completely unaware. Tyler said you wanted to catch up? Everything okay? Julia told me you're working from home today. Just going through some numbers, refinancing stuff, the usual. Oh man, yeah, hate that adulting nonsense. Anyway, did Julia tell you about the new campaign Mason, I cut him off. Tyler's listening in too. Silence. Then his voice came back, slightly pitched. Tyler, wait, baby, why are you... Thought you had house showings until 6. Got done early? Tyler's voice was all frost. Found something in your wallet. My wallet? Why were you... Chase Sapphire Reserve, shared account, Julia Maxwell. Care to explain that? It's not what... 18 grand, I said flatly. Bit much for a friendship, don't you think? It's not what you think. Mason's voice broke into full panic. Then what exactly is it? Tyler exploded. Because right now, it looks like you've been using my money to bankroll an affair with a married woman, while I was picking out rings. Tyler, please. Baby, just hear me out. Explain the Nobu dinner. I jumped back in. The one on Valentine's? You told me you were working. It was work-related. For 2? With champagne? On February 14th? We were celebrating a campaign launch. Must have been one hell of a launch party, Tyler growled. What do you win, huh? The honor of footing the bill for her lingerie? I didn't. Agent Provocateur Mason, 11 separate charges, totaling $3,200. I didn't wait. Tell me, what sort of gay best friend blows thousands on intimate wear for a married woman? They were presents for her birthday. Her birthday's in September, I shot back. These purchases are sprinkled throughout the year. Try again. Somewhere on his end, a door slammed. I could hear Mason's hurried footsteps echoing. He was moving fast. Where are you even going? Tyler's voice trailed off, faint through the speaker. We're not through. Give me a second, Mason mumbled. I continued scrolling through the account transactions, my thumb flicking like a metronome. Ah, look here, more magic. June 10th, Harry Winston, $4,000. I sneered. So that explains the earrings Julia claimed she found on clearance at Nordstrom. Harry Winston? Tyler's voice cracked, jagged with disbelief. You told me we had to wait until next year to afford the adoption lawyer. I couldn't, Mason stuttered. No, you couldn't, I snapped. Too busy blowing money on diamonds for another man's wife? It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I didn't give him an inch. Care for another gem? August 15th, La Perla, $800. More lingerie. Ideal gift for a married woman from her gay confidant, right? Stop calling me that, Mason shouted. What would you prefer? Her lover? Her secret boyfriend? The guy who's been pretending to be gay for 3 years? I am gay, Mason barked. Bi at best, Tyler muttered bitterly, and a lying coward at worst. Above me I heard the familiar creak, heels clicking across the hardwood upstairs. Julia was home, right on cue. Hang on, I said into the phone. Your co-conspirator just walked through the door. From the hallway, her voice chimed. Peter, you here? I saw your car. She stepped into the room, handbag over one shoulder, her face glowing with that disarming, polished smile. Her hair was perfect, makeup immaculate, the kind of dress tailored to make other wives resentful. For half a second I begged whatever god might be listening that this was just some giant, stupid misunderstanding, something we'd laugh about in a year. Then her eyes fell on the papers strewn across my desk. The color drained from her face like water circling a drain. Hey, sweetheart, I said, voice sugary and slow. I was just catching up with Tyler and Mason. Remember Tyler, Mason's boyfriend for the past 3 years? We were chatting about your shared spending habits. Peter, wait, I can explain. I raised a hand. Nope, no talking, just listening now. Tyler, you still there? Still here, Tyler replied coldly. Still trying to wrap my head around my boyfriend's heterosexual escapades. Heterosexual escapades, I echoed, chuckling dryly. That's generous. Julia lunged toward me, reaching for the phone. I rolled my chair back just enough, staying out of reach like I was playing keep away. Peter, please, this isn't what? I snapped. Isn't what it looks like. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks an awful lot like you and your so-called gay best friend have been sleeping together for over a year, and financing the affair with a credit card I didn't even know existed. It's not an affair, she insisted, tears already collecting in her eyes. Oh, my bad, I said, voice full of mock sincerity. What do you call hidden hotel bookings, candlelit dinners, and designer jewelry for someone you're not married to? It's complicated, she whispered. Yeah, I've heard that one a few times today. I turned back to the phone. Tyler, has Mason explained his definition of complicated yet? He's still working on convincing me that expensive lingerie is just what gay men casually buy for their married lady friends, Tyler said, laced with venom. Charming, I said. Mason, enlighten me. How many married women have you swept away to the Ritz-Carlton while upholding your proud identity as a gay man? Go to hell, Mason shouted through the line. Already there, I replied coolly. And thanks to you two, it's standing room only. Julia crumpled into the chair across from me, the flawless mask she wore every day now visibly fractured. How did you even find out? She asked softly. Mortgage refinancing, I said. Had to pull our credit report. Imagine my shock when I realized my wife was funding an affair at a cozy 24.9% APR. The interest rate doesn't matter, she mumbled, defeated. No, I said, my tone like a blade, but it really rubs salt in the wound. You're absolutely correct. The core issue isn't the bickering or half-baked justifications. It's the $18,000 of debt you've quietly accumulated while playing house with Mason. Mason. The very same Mason everyone assumes is gay. Mason, who's supposedly on the verge of adopting children with Tyler. We're moving forward with the adoption, Mason had said over the phone, voice unsteady. With what money? Tyler had barked, livid. You've burned through nearly 20 grand on your undercover girlfriend. She's not my girlfriend, Mason mumbled. Oh? I interjected sharply. Then what is she? A co-worker you wine and dine? A tenant with expensive taste in nightwear? Or just a very high-maintenance companion with a fondness for lingerie? The confrontation unraveled quickly. Julia was in tears now, mascara trailing down her cheeks like dripping ink. You don't understand, she gasped. Then help me understand, I snapped. Start with the part where you opened a credit card behind my back. It wasn't supposed to be hidden, she murmured. In this state, both parties have to be informed about joint credit, I shot back. I wasn't. That's called fraud, Julia. My attorney is going to have a field day. Your attorney? She echoed, head jerking up, eyes wide with panic. Absolutely. We're well beyond calm discussions and gentle counseling. We're in evidence-gathering territory now. Peter, no. Think about the kids. Oh, I am, I said, voice low and cold. I'm thinking about the kids who believe their Uncle Mason is gay, the same kids you've been lying to for over a year. It wasn't supposed to go this far, Mason's voice crackled from the speakerphone. Which part wasn't? Tyler snapped. Moving in with me? Saying you loved me? Building a life and memories for 3 years? What part of that was accidental? I do love you, Mason said, barely above a whisper. Love? Tyler let out a sharp, broken laugh. You call this love? Lying to my face while you sneak around? Spending thousands on jewelry and luxury getaways with her? That's not love. That's betrayal. I pulled up the online bank statements, scrolling through the transactions like a judge reading out a verdict. Let's take a little stroll through your spending history, I said coolly. September 22nd, Cartier, $2,800. Want to explain that one, Julia? Another mystery bonus from work? She just shook her head silent, tears streaming. October 31st, Halloween night, shutters on the beach, $1,200. You told me you were taking Ella trick-or-treating at your sister's house because they hand out the king-sized candy bars, remember? I did take her, she sobbed. Before or after the beachfront dinner? I asked flatly. Peter, she whimpered. November 25th, Black Friday, Beverly Hills Hotel, $1,500. While I was at home with the kids eating cold Thanksgiving leftovers, you were off bargain hunting? Please stop, she whispered. December 23rd, just before Christmas, Ritz-Carlton, $2,400. While I was wrapping presents with the kids, showing them how to tie ribbons, you were off unwrapping something else? Enough, Julia shrieked. Oh no, I said darkly. I'm just getting warmed up. January 8th, Agent Provocateur, $800. What was that? A New Year's resolution to spend more on designer lingerie? Tyler's voice sliced through the tension. That weekend was my birthday. Mason said he had to go visit his sick mom in San Francisco. Plot twist, I said without emotion. He was visiting my wife, in a luxury suite. I'm not sick, Julia said quietly, almost to herself. Mental health? Up for debate? Moral compass completely shattered, I shot back. I stood up and grabbed my keys and wallet from the counter. Here's how this is going to go, I said, calm but ice cold. Tomorrow morning, 9 sharp. Goldberg and Associates, Wilshire BLVD. That's my lawyer's office. All of us will be there. I'm not going, Mason began. Oh, you will. Unless you want me posting these transaction records all over social media. I'll tag every friend, every colleague at your agency. I'm sure they'll be fascinated to learn how you spend your client entertainment funds. That's blackmail, Julia gasped. No, I replied, opening the front door. That's what honest people call transparency. Maybe you've heard of it. Peter, please, Julia sobbed. Can't we just talk? Her face was a mess, smeared makeup turning her eyes into smudgy, black-rimmed circles. She looked like a raccoon. A deceitful, cheating raccoon. Tomorrow, I said without emotion, we'll go over all of this. With attorneys, money managers, maybe even a therapist to explain why Mason thought pretending to be a gay AI made sense as a dating strategy. I wasn't faking, Mason retorted. Tell it to the judge. I ended the call and immediately rang Tyler. I'm heading to the downtown Marriott. You want backup? He asked. Could swap war stories over drinks. God, yes, I need more than booze. I might need a damn intervention. You can't just leave like this, Peter. Julia's voice cracked as she scrambled to stand, her heels betraying her footing. What about the kids? She asked, her voice thin. They've got soccer until 6. Your mom's picking them up for the night, I replied, exaggerating the air quotes. Let me guess, another cozy cocktail night with Mason? She didn't answer, which said more than words could. Thought so, I said, grabbing my keys. Tyler, I'll see you in an hour. Bring anything, screenshots, messages, receipts. I'm already boxing Mason's garbage, Tyler said. Some of these receipts are enlightening. Tyler, don't. Mason's panicked voice burst through the line. Those are personal. Oh, now you care about boundaries? Tyler snapped. You've been lying next to me every night for 3 damn years. At the door, I hesitated just long enough to glance at Julia one last time. Her mascara had surrendered to tears. Oh, and Julia? You might want to figure out how you're covering that $18,000. My wallet's closed. Peter, please. But I was already walking out, leaving her alone in the fallout of her own choices. Behind me, her crying mixed with Mason and Tyler's yelling, still echoing in my phone until I finally hit end. The Marriott bar was exactly the sanctuary I needed. Low lighting, secluded booths, and a well-stocked bar. Tyler was already there, slouched in a corner with a laptop and a mess of papers. He looked the way I felt, shredded, angry, on the edge of collapse. Peter, he said as I slid in across from him. Tyler, what'll you have? Whiskey. Straight? Double. Make it 2, I told the waitress. We didn't say much until the drinks arrived. We lifted our glasses like survivors at a memorial. To the truth, Tyler said quietly. To best friends who were actually just cheating, I replied. We drank like we were trying to drown something inside us. When did you start to have doubts? I asked after a while. Tyler gave a sharp, joyless laugh. Never. Not once. 3 whole years. We were even planning to adopt, Peter. I've still got pamphlets in the glove box. Jesus. He sold it so well. Pride festivals, queer clubs, his whole coming out story. He told me his family disowned him, said I was his chosen family. Meanwhile, I muttered, he was choosing my wife's underwear. Exactly. Tyler opened his laptop and clicked open a folder. You need to see this. Image after image filled the screen. Mason and Julia always close, posing as pals but radiating something intimate. Snapshots from beaches, vineyards, quiet places carved out of their secret life. Laguna Beach, Tyler pointed. Last July. He told me it was a team-building weekend. Julia said she was in Portland for her college roommate's baby shower. Click. Napa, September. I was at a real estate expo in Vegas, our anniversary weekend. She told me she needed time to reassess our relationship. Apparently, she reassessed it in a hotel bed with my boyfriend. We spent the next hour assembling a jigsaw of betrayal. Social media posts, banking statements, hotel records. Each piece added weight to the truth. Check this out, I said, showing him one of Julia's Instagram posts. Valentine's Day. Caption, missing my love, but work comes first. Tyler showed me Mason's post from the same day, a sunset photo with the caption, grateful for another day. Well, Tyler said bitterly, now we know what he was grateful for. The amount of effort they poured into the lie was staggering, almost admirable. Almost. There's a twisted sort of awe in it. If they'd put even a fraction of this effort into being decent partners, we wouldn't be here, drowning our misery in drinks, trying to smother the emotional wreckage. Then came the legal strategy. Somewhere after my 3rd glass, I called David Goldberg, my lawyer. It was late, well beyond regular hours, but he answered on the 2nd ring. That's what you get, when you shell out for top-tier legal services. Peter, everything okay? My wife's cheating. I've got evidence. Hold on, start from the top. I walked him through it. Unauthorized charges, hidden financial messes, the infidelity, while Tyler sat next to me, occasionally tossing in what he'd uncovered about Mason's deception. David listened with quiet patience, offering the occasional or go on, while I laid it all out. Bring everything you have tomorrow, he said after I finished. Every document. This one's going to be layered. How messy are we talking? Well, the good news is, the financial dishonesty helps your case. Judges don't like secrets when it comes to money. The affair, though, that doesn't carry legal weight in California. No fault state. And custody? That could lean in your favor. Lying shows poor decision-making, which matters. But unless the kids are actually endangered, courts push for shared custody. And the debt. If you can demonstrate you had no idea about it, and that it ties into the affair, you might be able to sidestep liability. But it's going to be a battle. Tyler cleared his throat. What about me? Mason and I aren't married, but we've been together 3 years. We share finances, bank accounts, bills. That's a tougher situation, David replied. Without marriage, your legal standing's weaker. But if you can prove misuse of shared assets, like him spending joint money on the affair, you could pursue a civil case. Bring everything you have, transaction records, proof of shared ownership. I've got it all, Tyler said, voice flat. Receipts, too. ATM withdrawals from our account that match the dates of his hotel stays. Perfect. Bring it all in. 9 sharp, both of you. After I hung up, Tyler and I finally ordered food. Neither of us had eaten since everything had blown up. The salmon might as well have been rubber, but we forced it down anyway. You know what hurts the most? Tyler said, nudging his rice with a fork. I believed him. Every excuse, every night he came home late. When he stopped touching me, I told myself it was work stress. Never this. The signs were obvious in hindsight. The lingerie receipt I'd found in Julia's coat around Christmas. She'd said it was a workplace secret Santa gift. I'd even thought it was a cute idea. Same with Julia's jewelry, I added. Every time she brought home something new, there was a story. A bonus from work, a gift from her mom, clearance rack. Tyler's voice dropped. And those weekend trips that lined up perfectly. How were we so blind? Because we trusted them. Because when someone comes out and says they love you, you take it at face value. Because when someone marries you, has children with you, you assume they're all in. To trust, Tyler said, lifting his glass. To never trusting again, I replied, clinking mine against his. The night dragged on. By 11, we'd relocated from the restaurant to the bar, the table now scattered with documents and screenshots, like some grotesque display of betrayal. Other patrons kept their distance, probably assuming we were plotting something illegal. Hey, Tyler said suddenly, scrolling through his phone. You want to see something messed up? He pulled up Mason's Facebook page. Check out his latest post. It had gone up that morning, barely 12 hours ago, though it felt like days. A photo of Tyler, asleep, taken from behind. The caption read, Waking up next to this amazing man never gets old. Blessed, love wins. 3 years. Love wins, I repeated. Bet he was thinking that at the Ritz-Carlton with my wife. Scroll through the comments, Tyler said. People fawning over it. You two are perfect. Couple goals. When's the big day? I looked over at him. Speaking of, were you planning on proposing? His expression collapsed. I already bought the ring, was going to do it at Christmas. His parents had finally come around. We were going to tell everyone at dinner. His parents, I echoed. Do they even know? Know what? That he's gay? They know, Tyler said. It took a while, but they got there. His mom even joined PFLAG. Not exactly a club for supporters of men pretending to be gay while hooking up with married women. That acronym alone would be a crime. We both cracked up. The kind of laughter that teeters on the edge of a breakdown. My phone buzzed. Julia again. I'd been dodging her for hours. Calls, texts, voicemails, all ignored. Please come home. We need to talk. The kids won't stop asking for you. I'm scared. I love you. It's not what you think. Mason doesn't mean anything. That last part? I actually laughed out loud. Mason. What a joke. A joke that cost me 18 grand. Tyler's phone lit up too. Mason wants me back, he said, eyes on the screen. He says there's a way to explain it all. Explain what exactly? I said. That his mouth wandered into the wrong gender category? What's next? A therapist's note? That's when we coined a new condition, situational straight syndrome. Only flares up when a woman's got a wedding ring. Should be listed in the New England Journal of Affairs. Symptoms include sudden heterosexual urges in the presence of unavailable women. By the time we hit last call, things had gotten existential. Do you think they were in love? Tyler asked, eyes fixed on the whiskey dregs. Does it even matter? I said. I need to understand. I wasted 3 years. You lost a whole marriage. For what? If they had real feelings, why not just be together? Because being honest is harder than cheating, I said. It takes guts to tell the truth. They picked cowardice, he said. And our wallets. Yep. You know what really gets under my skin? Tyler's words were starting to blur around the edges. The way Mason acted gay, studied it like a Broadway role. I nodded, quietly furious. Meanwhile, kids get thrown out of their homes just for being who they are. And this guy, he uses it like a Halloween costume, just to sneak around. In a twisted way, you almost have to respect it, Tyler said. The dedication to the con. Julia was a planner to her core. Color-coded budgets, meticulously organized grocery lists, vacation itineraries down to the hour. She probably had an entire secret spreadsheet just to keep her lies from overlapping. Mason, too. They must have had synchronized calendars, fake credit cards, maybe even burner phones. You ever check his phone? I asked. Never crossed my mind, Tyler said. I trusted him completely. He let out a short, bitter laugh. Found the extra phone in his gym bag tonight. Locked, of course. Who was messaging him? Somebody saved as Jay, Tyler said. Want to guess who Jay really is? My wife, I replied. Bingo. Last message said, can't wait for tonight. Wear that blue shirt I got you. So much for ladies' night. So much for the gay best friend routine. So much for everything we thought we were building. We split the check down the middle. Trusting each other with money was about all we had left. Same time tomorrow? Tyler asked as we stepped into the night. Right after I meet the lawyer. Wouldn't miss it. Bring bail money in case I throttle Mason. Get in line, I said. The gay community's probably first up. Can't imagine they're thrilled about the stolen identity. The hotel room could have been mistaken for a hospital suite. Cold, impersonal, empty in the way I needed. I picked the Marriott because the idea of going home made my stomach turn. Still in my work clothes, I sat on the edge of the bed, credit card statements laid out like autopsy reports. My phone rang again. Julia. This time I picked up. What? Peter, thank God, where are you? Somewhere that doesn't reek of lies and Bath and Body Works. The kids keep asking for you. They're fine at your mom's. I said goodnight already. You called my... I never meant to hurt you, she said, voice breaking. Really? That Tiffany bracelet was just a misunderstanding? The lingerie? The 19 hotel reservations? You counted the hotels? I'm a financial analyst, Julia. I track patterns. Maybe I should have been analyzing you instead of our investments. Can we just please talk? She asked. Face to face? Tomorrow's the meeting with the attorneys. Make sure to bring your checkbook. You're definitely going to need it. Peter, don't. I don't want to hear it. You don't get to say I love you after charging it at 24.9% APR. I ended the call, powered down, let the quiet take over. 3:00 a.m. Still awake. Sleep wouldn't come. Each time I shut my eyes, the same scene replayed. Mason and Julia. Julia and Mason. The so-called harmless, gay best friend who wasn't. The loyal wife who wasn't. I grabbed the pen from the nightstand, tore a sheet from the hotel pad and started scribbling. Questions for the lawyers. When did this start? Whose name is on the card? Did they laugh at us behind closed doors? Tyler and me blissfully unaware? Who else knew and kept quiet? Why didn't they just walk away? That last one refused to leave me alone. If they were so desperate to be together, why hide it? Why stay married? Why not let Tyler and me find someone who actually wanted us? Then, sometime around 4 a.m., it clicked, sharp and bitter as broken glass. Because they wanted it all. The comfort of married life. The adrenaline rush of cheating. Our financial cushions. Their own twisted thrill. They didn't just want the cake. They wanted the cake, the icing, and the ability to swipe it all to a hidden account. Morning. Up at 6. Shower. Put on the best suit I owned. Julia had chosen it for my last promotion celebration. Collected the paperwork. My ammunition. Text from Tyler. Didn't sleep. Mason never came home. Probably crashed at hers. Let them plot. We've got the receipts. We've got fury. Don't forget the fury. Forget it? It's the only thing keeping my spine straight. Stopped for coffee. Almost ordered Julia's usual without thinking. Caught myself halfway. The barista, who'd known us for years, looked around and asked, "Where's the better half?" "She's deteriorating," I muttered and left her blinking. Goldberg and Associates, penthouse floor, all glass and chrome, everything sharp, everything cold. David met me in the lobby. His expression was locked tight. "You look like hell," he said. "Feel worse," I told him, "but I'm locked in." "Good. Channel that. Keep your head cool. Anger's not what wins. Evidence does." Tyler walked in shortly after, looking just as demolished. His attorney, Patricia Clark, cut through the air like a scalpel, tailored to kill, eyes like flint. "My clients brought full documentation," she said, not even sitting fully before launching. "We've got records of financial deception, emotional distress, unauthorized spending of marital assets. Civil action is ready to go." David nodded. "Excellent. Coordinating tactics may benefit both sides." The conference room, a battlefield. Papers, receipts, screen grabs, photographs, an archive of betrayal. 9:15. Julia and Mason entered, matching black outfits like they were attending a wake. The death of our relationships, the burial of trust, the funeral of futures we thought we had. Their lawyer was exactly what I'd envisioned. Ill-fitting suit, worn-out case, and an expression like he'd already lost. "Let's begin," David said. No room for negotiation. The deposition started. "First up, the credit card," David said, sliding across the statements. "Opened a little over a year ago, kept hidden. That's financial fraud under California statutes, concealing liabilities from your spouse. Phillips, their budget attorney, tried to intervene. My client asserts she had every intention of disclosing the account." I cut in. "When? After it was maxed out? After she drained us dry? At what point was the truth penciled in?" "Mr. Maxwell," Phillips stammered, "please direct all comments through counsel." Then David, "Please ask when she was planning to loop me in on the 20 grand she blew while screwing her not-so-gay best friend." Mason's face twitched. "Good, let that land." Then Patricia spoke, calm, lethal. "My client, Mr. Reynolds, has meticulous documentation connecting Mr. The grilling had only just begun. Clark had been diverting joint finances to fund an illicit relationship. Withdrawals from the shared account coincided exactly with the dates of luxury hotel stays. To cover his tracks, he submitted falsified reports, pretending the expenses were related to work travel. "These were all valid work-related charges," Mason insisted, his tone already defensive. Tyler's voice sliced through the tension like a blade. "A Valentine's Day suite at the Ritz-Carlton qualifies as business?" He didn't wait for a reply. "What kind of work is that exactly? Adultery?" Phillips stepped in, trying to temper the mood. "Mr. Reynolds, let's try to—" "No," Tyler snapped, cutting him off. His fury was barely contained, his words tight and deliberate. 3 years. 3 years I gave everything to him, my heart, my support, my body. And this is what I get? Deception. "I never pretended I didn't love you," Mason said quietly. Tyler's eyes flashed. "You lied about everything else. Who you were with, where you were going, how you spent our money. Your entire existence was a lie. But sure, let's believe the one thing you claim was real, your love." David, calm and composed, spread out a new stack of documents across the table. "Let's go over the purchases," he said. 11 charges at stores specializing in women's lingerie. Mind explaining that, Mason? Especially given you've always identified as gay? Silence settled like fog. Jewelry receipts next, David continued. Over 15 grand spent. Were those pieces meant for Tyler? Still no response. And then we have the hotels, David went on. Miami, Vegas, San Diego, Santa Barbara, each trip disguised as work or family visits. Care to clear that up? It was Julia who finally broke the silence. Her voice was calm but firm. It's not what you think. Then do enlighten us, David said smoothly, because at the moment it looks a lot like embezzlement, infidelity, and fraud. We didn't mean for it to happen, she said. We fell in love. The room exploded. Chairs scraped back. Voices rose in disbelief. The word echoed like a gunshot. Love. I stood so abruptly that my chair toppled behind me. You fell in love? That's your excuse? Peter, let's not... Don't you dare try to soften this. You had every opportunity to tell the truth. Instead, you chose to lie. Every single day. Mason tried to jump in. We never meant to cross that line. We tried to stop. Tyler let out a cold, bitter laugh. Stop? Is that what you call maxing out joint credit cards? Booking expensive hotel rooms? Buying sexy lingerie? Hell of a way to show restraint. Julia stepped forward. You're missing the point. Then clarify it, Patricia snapped. Because I'm struggling to see how two people in committed relationships accidentally open a credit card together and accidentally rack up $20,000 on romantic trips. It began as a friendship, Mason said softly. A real one. Friends don't buy each other underwear from Agent Provocateur, I shot back. There was a connection, Mason began. Tyler interrupted, his voice razor sharp. A connection that had to be kept secret? One that involved constant lies and pretending to be gay for 3 years? I am gay, Mason shouted. Bisexual, Julia corrected him almost inaudibly. The silence that followed was deafening. What did you just say? Tyler asked, barely above a whisper. I'm bisexual, Mason repeated. I never lied about being into men, but I also fell for Julia. How convenient, I said, voice flat. Was that realization before or after you started sleeping with my wife? It wasn't like that. Then when was it? I pressed. When did this sudden identity shift happen? When did Julia become so irresistible that you decided to tear 4 people's lives apart? It started last year, at the company Christmas party, Mason admitted. You were busy talking to your supervisor, drunk. Tyler was showing a house. Julia and I talked. Things just happened. So your idea of exploring your identity was cheating with a married woman? Tyler's voice dripped venom. We didn't plan it, Mason mumbled. But we couldn't stop. It kept happening, in city after city, hotel after hotel. David cleared his throat, taking back control. Let's return to the financial discrepancies. Who initiated the credit card? I did, Julia said. Well, we both did, but I might have used Peter's personal details, without telling him. Patricia's eyes narrowed. That's identity theft. We'll add that to the list. We're ready to press criminal charges, David stated calmly, unless we can settle this matter privately first. Phillips cleared his throat at last, shattering the tense silence. And what exactly are you proposing? He asked stiffly. A settlement, David replied. First, Ms. Maxwell will take full responsibility for the outstanding debt. Second, Mr. Maxwell will be granted favorable divorce conditions, including sole custody of the children. Third, any property acquired or used during the affair will be excluded from division. Julia stood up abruptly, fury flashing in her eyes. That's outrageous. What's outrageous, I countered, is hiding a credit card and charging $20,000 to it while cheating. Patricia, measured and composed, interjected, My client also expects full restitution for all shared finances used improperly during this affair. Mason stared at the floor, his voice barely audible. I don't have anywhere else to stay. Maybe you should have thought of that, Tyler said under his breath, before you played house with another man's wife. David remained unshaken. We're also demanding total disclosure, bank statements, secret accounts, and a complete record of the affair's timeline. There aren't any hidden accounts, Julia snapped. I gave a cold laugh. You'll understand if we're not inclined to just take your word for it. Trust hasn't exactly been your strong suit. Phillips's expression darkened. This is pure retaliation. This, Patricia corrected him, is about responsibility. Your clients made choices. Now they face the consequences. Phillips shook his head slowly. We can't agree to all of that. Then we pursue criminal charges, David replied without hesitation. Fraud, civil theft, emotional distress. They'll be dragged through court for years. Their credit will be in ruins, their reputations destroyed, and yes, their employers will know. Mason's throat bobbed as he swallowed. You wouldn't go that far. Tyler's voice was cold steel. Try me. You stole 3 years of my life. I've got no problem spending a few more in court. Negotiations dragged out for another 2 hours. Phillips resisted, constantly probing for a better deal, but we had everything we needed. The evidence was airtight. Eventually, Julia and Mason realized they were cornered and gave in to almost all our terms. Julia agreed to shoulder the full debt. I would keep the house and have primary custody of the children. She would get limited visitation and a nominal amount of alimony, every cent of which would be applied to that credit card bill. Mason was ordered to repay Tyler $9,500, his half of what had been passed off as business travel, but were really romantic vacations. He had 48 hours to vacate the apartment. Where am I supposed to go? Mason asked, his voice cracking. Not my concern, Tyler replied flatly. Maybe Julia has space. Oh wait, she doesn't. I'm keeping all the decent furniture. As soon as the preliminary agreement was signed, pending final divorce approval, the aftermath set in. While we packed up, Julia made one last attempt. Peter, can we talk? Just us? No, I said curtly. Just 5 minutes, she begged. Please, we have children. Had, I corrected. Now we've got a custody schedule. She began to cry again. Mason reached out instinctively to comfort her, but froze when he caught Tyler glaring. This didn't have to get this nasty, Phillips muttered as we exited. It did, David responded immediately. Lie for a year, blow through 20 grand, and yeah, nasty is guaranteed. Outside, Tyler and I stood in the warm morning light, utterly drained, empty but victorious. Drinks later? He asked. Plenty of them, I said. Same place? It's tradition now. The Marriott Lounge of Broken Promises, he joked. Sounds like a sad country song. We shook hands, 2 men bound by betrayal and parted ways. When I arrived home, I pulled into the driveway of what was now legally my house. But inside, every room felt unfamiliar, haunted. Traces of Julia were everywhere. Throw pillows she obsessed over, the gallery wall she curated, the neatly labeled pantry shelves. I started packing her things immediately. Out of necessity, yes, but mostly out of fury. Every object was a reminder of the deception I'd been living in. In the closet, my closet now, I found receipts stuffed everywhere, in coat pockets, handbags, shoe boxes, for dinners I never ate, movies I never saw, hotels I never slept in. One receipt froze me in place. Le Bernardin, March 3rd, my birthday. But this one wasn't charged to the secret card. It had been paid in cash, which could only mean one thing. They went twice, I whispered into the silence, once on the card and once in cash. Each lie peeled away, revealed another underneath, like unraveling an onion composed solely of deception. My phone vibrated. It was the school, Ella's school. Mr. Maxwell? Ella isn't feeling well. Could you come get her? The real world cut through the wreckage of my disintegrating life. I drove over, signed her out, and brought her home. She curled up on the couch under a blanket while I stirred soup on the stove. Where's Mommy? She asked. She's working late, I replied, a lie that felt like acid on my tongue. The irony of it all stung. Will she be back tonight? I don't think so, honey. She's finishing some important things. Okay, can we watch Frozen? Sure. As Elsa sang about letting go, I sat next to my daughter, trying to measure what I had to release too. 10 years of marriage, the visions we'd built together, a trust shattered beyond repair, but also the weight of uncertainty, The suffocating sting of being deceived. The exhaustion from playing a part in a life that no longer existed. Then the digital storm arrived. That same night, the neighborhood Facebook group exploded, almost certainly Tyler's doing. A new post surfaced. Just a heads up. Check your credit reports. You never know what accounts your spouse might be opening with their best friend. Trust but verify for 20K affair. It spread like wildfire. Ours was a close-knit community, with gossip passed along like currency. Everyone knew someone, and no one stayed neutral. Is this about who I think it is? Knew something was fishy. Poor Peter and Tyler, what a nightmare. Wait, Mason wasn't straight? Apparently bi. Looks like he's solo now. Julia's Facebook vanished within the hour. Mason wiped his clean shortly after. But the receipts were eternal. Screenshots were passed around like digital relics. And then the texts poured in. Derek. Dude, holy crap, drink soon? My sister. I'm going to kill her. Julia's best friend. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. My mom. What does Facebook mean about credit cards? I muted my phone and poured a drink. Let them dissect it. I was done being a spectator in my own unraveling. Week 1, when reality lands. The first week blurred by in a haze of practical decisions and emotional first aid. Julia moved in with her mother, who soon called me, voice trembling with tears. I don't get it, she said, breaking down. She wasn't raised like this. I thought you two had something real. And the kids? What happens to them? They're with me during the week, I told her. Julia only sees them with supervision until the divorce is finalized. Supervised? Isn't that a little much? Not as much as secretly racking up 20 grand in debt. Ella and Jack adjusted with that unsettling adaptability only kids seem to have. We told them Mommy was at Grandma's for a while because of grown-up stuff. They accepted it like they accepted rain from clouds. But the real pressure came from outside. At school pickup, Sophia's mom pulled me aside. So, is it true about Mason? Which part? I asked, already tired. You know, the gay thing? Labels had always been more suggestion than definition. Mason and Tyler had looked like a happy couple. Emphasis on looked. The LGBTQ+ community's response was intense. Mason had been a visible advocate, marching in pride, fundraising, speaking out. To them, it felt like betrayal. He used us, James said, furious. Pretended to be gay so no one would suspect the affair. Do you know how much damage that does? Kids literally die for being themselves, he said. And he wore it like camouflage. Then the financial wreckage came to light. Half a month later, 2 weeks had passed since the truth unraveled, and with it came the financial aftermath in full force. The credit card provider had been alerted to the fraud and immediately opened a case. Even though the account was frozen, the debt lingered like a ghost. Julia's credit rating took a nosedive, crashing to a grim 492. A perfect storm of a fully maxed-out card, missed payments during the legal chaos, and the fraud notice had annihilated her financial health. She called me, her voice shaky and strained. I can't even qualify for a basic store card, not even Target. Well, maybe starting a covert credit card wasn't your finest decision. I'm trying to find a place to live. Nobody's approving me with this score. Ask Mason to co-sign for you. I paused. Oh, right. His credit probably looks like a burning landfill, too. This isn't a joke, Peter. You're right, it's comedy gold. You torched your financial future over room service and overpriced wine. Hoped the sex was worth 7 years of fiscal ruin. She hung up. It wouldn't be the last abrupt goodbye. Tyler's move. Tyler chose a different path for revenge. His was more public and calculated. He remained in the apartment but stripped it of every shared memory, furniture gone, any sign of Mason wiped clean. He broadcasted the transformation on Instagram. Fresh space, fresh energy, minus the fraud. Even the Wi-Fi password got a long overdue reset. When Mason swung by to collect his things, he discovered that Tyler had already donated anything of worth to a non-profit for LGBTQ youth. If you're going to exploit queer identity for sympathy, Tyler told him, then let your possessions benefit actual queer kids. Mason threatened legal action. That's when Patricia Clark stepped up, receipts in hand. Every item Mason claimed had been bought using Tyler's card. And the final hit? Tyler had already moved on, loudly. His new partner, undeniably gay, emotionally mature, and gainfully employed, was everything Mason only pretended to be. Mason couldn't process it. He sent a message. "You're already dating again? I grieved the real relationship while you were busy hotel hopping with Julia." Tyler wrote back. "This part? This is just me living." When the kids asked. By the third week, the kids started piecing things together. Jack asked first, casually during dinner. "How come Uncle Mason doesn't visit anymore?" "Your dad and Uncle Mason had a disagreement," I told him. "Why?" "It's grown-up stuff." "Is that why Mommy's been at Grandma's?" Their eyes were too perceptive. They didn't know everything, but they knew enough. "Adults make mistakes," I said. "And sometimes those mistakes mean they can't stay close anymore." "Did Mommy make a mistake?" "Yes." "Did you?" "My mistake was pretending everything was okay for too long." "I don't really get it." "Me neither, buddy. Still working through it myself." Ella, older and far more observant, asked the question I was hoping to avoid. "Are you and Mommy going to get a divorce?" "Most likely, sweetheart." "Because of what she did?" "Because of a lot of things we both let go on too long." "If you do, will we have two houses, like Connor in my class?" "Maybe. Would that be all right?" She thought for a moment. "Can I have two bedrooms, one pink, one purple?" Kids have this beautifully simple way of processing even the most complicated things. More cracks appear. A month after it all came crashing down, more revelations followed. Some of Julia's colleagues finally reached out, ready to speak now that the dust had settled. "We had our doubts," said Linda as we sipped coffee. "Those long lunches, random meetings, the way she looked after work sometimes, like she was glowing." "And no one brought it up? What were we supposed to say? Are you cheating on your husband? Without evidence?" "Fair point. For what it's worth, none of us suspected Mason. We figured someone from the New York office. That would have been easier, cleaner, less catastrophic." She pulled up Julia's work calendar. Client meetings matched perfectly with hotel stays. Training sessions aligned with romantic dinner reservations. Conference calls seemed to conveniently stretch over entire afternoons. "She put effort into this," I noted. "Into the lie, you mean?" "To be honest, she was better at hiding the affair than doing her actual job. Her performance has dipped for months. Hard to focus on Excel when you're moonlighting as someone else entirely." A life in compartments. Wife, mother, mistress. And when you added the version of herself she put on at work, she was effectively managing a fourth life. Mason tries to clean up his image. A month and a half after the truth came out, Mason kicked off a personal rebranding campaign. He launched a blog centered on identity, labeling, and the pressure to fit into societal norms. It was a textbook case of skirting the actual issue. In one post he wrote, "Cultural expectations forced me into a box." His argument? The binary nature of sexual identity left him cornered, unable to be fully himself. Tyler wasn't buying it. He fired back in his own blog post. "No one forced you to live a lie for 3 years. That was your call." Mason portrayed himself as a casualty of narrow definitions. But those in the LGBTQ+ community weren't fooled. "You had someone who genuinely loved you," one activist responded in the comments. "You were surrounded by people who accepted you. What you chose was dishonesty. Don't blame society for your choices." The criticism was fast and ruthless. Within 2 weeks, the blog disappeared without a trace. The financial picture emerges. By the time 2 months had passed, the full extent of the financial damage became clear. Forensic accountants uncovered that the $18,547 in credit card debt was just the start. Another $8,000 had been quietly pulled out in cash. Julia's personal savings completely wiped out. And Mason? He had been discreetly draining a joint account he shared with Tyler. In total, roughly $3,000 had been funneled into supporting the affair. 30 grand, I told my therapist. That's an entire year of tuition, a reliable used car, a down payment on a small condo. How do you feel about that? Like I married someone I didn't even know. An expensive mistake. The money seems to hit harder than the cheating. The betrayal hurt emotionally. But the money? That's tangible. It shows exactly how little she valued our marriage. Less than $30,000. That's one interpretation. Or maybe it shows how much the affair meant to her, enough to take us that deep into debt. That might be worse. It is. The legal split. Finalizing the divorce took half a year. California's mandatory waiting period dragged out what was already dead emotionally and relationally. Julia didn't go along with the custody terms without resistance. Her lawyer argued that cheating had no bearing on her parenting ability. David, my attorney, kept his tone composed. Your Honor, this isn't a simple case of adultery. It's a prolonged deception involving serious financial breaches and a repeated prioritization of self-interest over family welfare. The judge, an experienced woman who'd clearly seen worse, remained unsympathetic to Julia's emotional pleas. Mrs. Maxwell, you accumulated significant debt without your husband's knowledge. That reflects poor judgment, especially when children are involved. In the end, I was awarded primary custody. Julia was granted alternate weekends and midweek dinners. Financially, the ruling was firm but equitable. Since I was unaware of the debts, and they didn't benefit the household, she was held fully liable. She also had to pay my legal fees, as her secrecy had necessitated the financial investigation. I'll be crawling out of this hole for years, she said after the hearing. Maybe you should have thought about that before opening secret accounts, I answered. You're taking pleasure in this. Not pleasure, just recognizing fairness. That's not the same thing. Tyler gets closure. Tyler took legal action separately and settled with Mason out of court. The evidence was overwhelming. Transaction records, receipts, a clear timeline of fraud. Mason agreed to repay $9,500 in stolen funds, cover Tyler's moving costs, pay $5,000 in damages for emotional distress, write a formal apology, which Tyler later framed and mounted in his hallway. So $14,500 total, Tyler said one night as we shared drinks. Plus, whatever the furniture was worth, the rent, and the pieces of my dignity I didn't get back. Can he even afford that? He's on a payment plan, $200 a month for the next 6 years. That's a long road. Each payment reminds him of what he gave up. You mean you? Partly. But mostly the version of himself that was honest, the part he abandoned to live a lie. The professional crash. By the 8th month, the career consequences caught up. Julia lost her job. Officially, it was part of a company-wide restructure. But she wasn't fooled. They called it a reorganization, she said during one of our custody exchanges. But let's be honest, no company wants to keep someone around once they find out you've been leading a double life. Looking for a reference? I could, sure, but I'm making the conscious decision not to. Seriously, Peter? I need to concentrate, bills are piling up. Not my problem. Maybe Mason needs a hand? Mason wasn't an option anymore. His job was long gone. The online drama, a tidal wave of exposés and mounting legal problems finally drove his employer over the edge. Not aligned with our company values, they'd said officially. He packed his things and moved to Portland, hoping to start over where his reputation didn't precede him. Last I heard, he was working the register at a cafe, now going by queer, a term flexible enough to keep things vague. 12 months later, 1 year after I found the credit card, my life had shifted completely. I'd stripped the house of everything that screamed Julia, rebuilding it from the floors up. Therapy helped me steady myself. And then there was the support group Tyler and I accidentally created, which turned out to be the most unexpected lifeline. We called it Survivors of Straight Spouses, a monthly meetup for those left behind by eerily similar betrayals. You wouldn't believe how common these stories were. Our favorite catchphrase was, "My wife's gay best friend was just pretending," often followed by versions like, "My husband's lesbian coworker was actually into guys. My boyfriend's asexual roommate had a revolving door of hookups. My girlfriend's platonic study buddy had other majors in mind." We swapped survival tips, lawyer referrals, and stories so absurd they almost made us laugh. It was cheaper than therapy, and came with a generous pour of wine. Sarah joined after discovering her husband's aromantic life coach was a little too hands-on. She had a contagious laugh and a pristine credit rating. "I run background checks now before I date," she admitted one night. "Overkill?" "No," I said, "that's genius." "Want to compare FICO scores?" I teased. Kind of. How the kids managed. Ella and Jack adapted to our new reality faster than I expected. 2 households, 2 rooms, 2 different sets of rules. Julia got weekends and kept up her image with Instagrammable parenting content, like a lifestyle blog come to life. Mom took us to do pottery, Ella said one Sunday evening. That sounds fun. Did you like it? It was fine. She cried in the bathroom, though. She does that sometimes when she thinks no one can see. Kids always pick up more than adults assume. Jack, ever the direct one, dropped this at breakfast. Is Mom poor now? What makes you think that? She said we can't go to Disneyland because of card stuff. Your mom's got some financial consequences. From the mistake? Yes, from that mistake. I don't want to make mistakes that cost money. Then be smart. Learn from others, buddy. The wedding reveal. 18 months after I first discovered the card, another secret surfaced. Linda, a former colleague of Julia's, asked to meet for coffee. I didn't know if I should come forward, she said hesitantly. But you deserve to know. She opened her phone and showed me photos Julia had mistakenly airdropped during a work presentation, months before the credit card mess. Julia and Mason, together at a wedding venue. When were these taken? I asked. Last January. She said she was helping her sister look at venues. Her sister's been married for years. Exactly. That's why I had to tell you. I think they were scouting for themselves. The photos were unmistakable. Cake tastings, ring try-ons, flower consultations. This wasn't someone playing assistant. They were planning a future, right under our noses. They were going to leave us, I whispered, the realization finally settling in. They were organizing their own wedding. That credit card? It probably funded all of it, building up reward points, maybe even for a honeymoon. 30 grand in secret wedding plans, hidden in plain sight. I'm really sorry, Peter. I should have told you sooner. No, this is what I needed. Thank you. I sent the images straight to David, my lawyer. Now we had more than suspicion. We had evidence. Legal consequences, part 2. With those photos, David was able to revisit the divorce terms. Even in no-fault California, planned deception carries legal weight. The judge was clearly unimpressed. Mrs. Maxwell, he said firmly, these images don't suggest a brief lapse in judgment. They point to a calculated, deliberate scheme. Julia's portion of our shared debt increased. She also lost claim to several items we had been disputing. The court made it clear, using shared finances to secretly plan a wedding with someone else is a serious breach of fiduciary trust. You destroyed me, Julia spat as we left the courtroom. No, I said, steady. You did that to yourself. I loved him. No, you loved the thrill, the secrets, the performance. If you'd truly cared, you wouldn't have lied. As if you ever would have agreed to separate anyway. We'll never know, will we? You didn't even let me get the words out. You just went ahead and helped yourself. Tyler 2.0. Tyler didn't just weather the storm, he came out on top. He turned the entire experience into content, launching a popular blog about love, deception, and trust. One entry, titled "The Gay Best Friend Who Wasn't," caught fire, shared thousands of times, commented on endlessly. He even found someone new. Odd twist, his name was also Mason. Life has a dark sense of irony. This new Mason, a pediatrician, out and proud since middle school, impeccable credit, an 8-20. I verified, Tyler said with a smirk. Made him show me his experience score on date 2. That's your idea of romantic? Romance fades, financial transparency doesn't. Then he hit me with, think you be my best man? Sure, if new Mason makes the groomsman list, I want old Mason to scroll through the photos with regret. So petty. And shamelessly so. The wedding? Intimate, emotional, beautiful. Tyler even slipped a jab into his vows. Don't worry, original Mason won't see this on his feed. He'd already blocked them all and moved permanently to Portland. 2 years later, Truth's anniversary. On the second anniversary of the big reveal, the credit card fiasco, I met Tyler back at our usual hangout, the lounge at the Marriott, our unofficial war room. To credit scores, Tyler said, lifting his glass. To authentic gay best friends, I answered. To financial honesty. To emotional honesty. And to avoiding anyone named Mason ever again. A little harsh on new Mason, no? Fair. Okay, here's to trust, backed by receipts. We clinked glasses and caught up. Tyler was thriving with new Mason. I was dating Sarah now. Yes, the credit score-obsessed woman from our support group. We had moved forward. Ever think about what might have happened if we'd stayed in the dark? Tyler asked. They'd be on some beach honeymoon right now, on our dime, I said. And we'd be back here doing school runs and splitting bills, completely clueless. People say ignorance is bliss. Only folks who haven't had their financial life torched by someone they trusted. You want to hear something weird? Tyler said. I'm actually grateful. Grateful for the betrayal? No, grateful we found out. If we hadn't, I'd still be stuck with someone who never really loved me, just played the part. I get that, I said. Things with Julia were steady, predictable. But love isn't supposed to require lying. Maybe that's the gift the credit report gave us, Tyler said. The hard truth. Expensive truth. Still cheaper than living a lie. Kids see more than you think. As Ella grew older, her questions grew sharper. By 10, she was connecting dots we hadn't expected her to notice. Dad, was Mom seeing Uncle Mason before you guys split up? I nearly choked on my coffee. Why are you asking that? Some kids at school said stuff. Also, Uncle Mason wasn't actually gay, was he? It's complicated. That's adult code for I'm not telling you. She had me. Okay, yes, your mom and Mason made some pretty bad choices. Is that why you and Mom aren't together? It was one of the reasons, yes. Do you hate her? I hate what she did, not her. She's still your mom. What about Uncle Mason? Do you hate him? I say don't really feel anything about him. He's just history. That's kind of sad. Sometimes people exit your life to make room for the right ones. Like Sarah? Exactly. Ella paused, thinking. I'm never going to lie about who I love. That's a good promise, sweetheart. Credit restored, life reclaimed. By the 3rd year, my credit was fully repaired. After battling through fraud reports and paperwork mountains, I'd managed to sidestep the worst of it. Julia, though, not so lucky. Her financial history was in ruins. She still called now and then, voice tight with desperation. I can't get approved for a car loan, no matter how many times I apply. My beat-up Honda, which has somehow lasted 12 years, is practically falling apart. Just take the bus, he tells me. Peter, come on, think of the kids. They need to be driven safely, reliably, not left waiting at cold bus stops. You should have thought of that before hiding thousands in credit card debt from me. How long do I have to keep paying for that mistake? I'm not punishing you. That's just how banks work. Try applying through Capital One, or check with Experian. I know I screwed up. 20 grand in hidden spending over a year, with your gay best friend who turned out to not even be gay. He's bi. He moved to Portland and works at a coffee shop now. Doesn't matter what he is anymore. Eventually, she found a lender willing to say yes, one of those outfits that prey on people with nowhere else to go. They gave her a loan at 23% interest. The monthly payments were higher than what we used to pay on our mortgage. The moment it hit us, the price we paid. We started making flyers. Check your credit report every month. How to spot red flags in platonic friendships when your gay best friend isn't actually gay, and what to do when your relationship becomes a lie. Tyler came up with our mission statement, to support those misled by cheating partners who hid behind just friends, and to promote financial transparency in all relationships. We even found a corporate backer, a credit monitoring service. Their tagline? Love might be blind, but your credit score doesn't have to be. The supposed happy ending. People often ask, did Julia and Mason survive it all? Did their big romance beat the odds? It didn't. They tried again, half a year after the divorce. But once the secrecy was gone, along with the dinners charged to stolen cards and the thrill of sneaking around, they discovered there was no real connection. She micromanages everything and the debt's unbearable, Mason reportedly told someone. He's selfish and financially reckless, Julia confided to a friend. They ended things over text. A friend of mine showed me the screenshots. It was depressing. 2 families destroyed for a fling that collapsed under daylight. Julia's dating a divorced accountant now. He requires her to submit her credit statements every month. Mason stayed in Portland, where he's still on dating apps, now calling himself hetero-flexible, whatever that means. That same friend asked me if I felt like I'd won. No, I said honestly, just disappointed. They both gave up stable homes for something that didn't even last a year. Maybe it wasn't really love, she said. Maybe it was just the rush. An expensive rush. It burned through about $30,000. Some people pay more for even less excitement. Sure, but most don't obliterate their families for it. The wedding with Sarah. 4 years after that ugly awakening with the credit report, I married Sarah. We kept it small and sincere. Tyler stood by me as my best man. We jokingly called one of the groomsmen New Mason. The rest of the seats were filled with friends from our support group. Sarah's vows made everyone laugh. I promise to keep my own credit cards but give you all my heart. I swear any gay best friend I have will actually be gay, and I solemnly vow to never open a secret financial account. The laughter rolled through the room. Those who knew the backstory laughed the hardest. Mine were a little more reserved. I promise to trust you, because I've learned what betrayal teaches. To love you fully, but still double-check when it counts. And I vow our love will always be free of hidden charges. Ella tossed petals down the aisle as our flower girl. Jack brought us the rings. They had settled into the new family with surprising grace. Sarah won them over with one simple commitment: always tell the truth. When they first met her, Jack asked, "Are you going to cheat on my dad?" "No," she said. "Cheating's for people who can't handle honesty." "So, was Mom just scared?" "You'll figure that out for yourself someday." "I think she was." "That's a fair answer." Julia didn't get an invitation. Of course not. She found out through Facebook and sent a brief text. "Congratulations, I hope you're happy." I never responded. Some bridges, once reduced to ash, aren't worth rebuilding. The financial lesson. The whole ordeal turned me, accidentally, into someone people look to for money advice. Friends, co-workers, even strangers who'd heard bits of the story started asking how to protect themselves. So I created a method. The Maxwell Guide to Financial Self-Defense. Review your credit report every month. Don't wait for quarterly updates. Require both partners to approve any major spending decisions. No shared accounts ever. Under no circumstances should you open a joint bank account with anyone other than your legally wedded spouse. Keep every device locked and every document secure. Trust only after confirming every financial detail yourself. The moment someone says, "It's complicated," take it as a red flag. They're likely concealing something. And just to be clear, your gay best friend has no business being a co-applicant on your credit card. Eventually, I started giving talks at financial literacy events. My most requested lecture? The Cost of Secrets, Hidden Relationships, and Hidden Debts. I'd walk audiences through anonymized credit card statements, tracing the financial fallout of deception. There was always one slide that left people breathless, a graphic breakdown of the mess Julia's affair created. Outstanding balance, 18,547. Interest tacked on, 11,1234. Legal expenses, $45,000. Assets lost in the divorce, $15,000. Total cost, $22,478. Nearly $250,000, I'd say, for an affair. Hope those minibar peanuts were unforgettable. Lessons from the little ones. By the age of 13, Ella had already developed her own rulebook for love and trust, built from everything she'd watched unfold. "One thing I know," she told me, "no one's getting my passwords." Good thinking. "And I'm always keeping a private bank account, just mine." "Well," I offered, "your partner should at least be aware it exists. They can know it's there, not what's in it." "Fair point." "Oh, and if any friend ever wants to open a credit line together?" "Run," I said. "I'll sprint," she replied. Jack, only 11 at the time, took a more blunt approach. "I think I'll just stay single, way cheaper." "That's a valid option," I said. "You know Mom's still paying for stuff from the divorce?" "How do you know that?" "She was crying on the phone about it, said she'll be making payments until I'm in college." "Well, that's what happens when choices come with a price tag. I'm never making costly choices. Smart move unless it's a PS5. He gave a shrug. "That's a different type of dumb decision. An unexpected encounter." 5 years after everything came to light, I ran into Mason at the airport. I was heading to a conference in Seattle. He was transferring from Portland. Our eyes met at the same time, both of us freezing like startled animals. He looked worn, grayer, thinner, stripped of that cocky edge he used to carry. "Peter," he muttered. "Mason." The silence between us was thick, once filled with friendship, now replaced with tension. He tried to make conversation. "How have—" "No need," I cut him off. "Let's not pretend." "Fair enough." How's the cafe? I asked. He looked surprised. Didn't know you knew about that. I keep track. It's surviving. I'm managing it now. Glad to hear. Thanks. I heard you got remarried. I did. That's good. It is. How's your credit? He laughed, short and bitter. Still garbage. Yours? Perfect. Always has been. Must be nice. It is. Another stretch of silence, interrupted only by flight announcements overhead. Finally, he said, For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but you're right, it doesn't. I really did love her. No, you loved the excitement, the secrecy. If it had been love, you would have told the truth from the beginning. Maybe. No, definitely, love doesn't live in shadows. I'm bisexual, Peter, that wasn't a lie. I don't care if you're bi, pan, or from a different galaxy. That wasn't the betrayal. You lied, you cheated, you took what wasn't yours. Your identity isn't the issue here. A final call sounded for his flight, Portland through San Francisco. Take care, Peter. Check your credit score, Mason. He walked away, hunched and hollow. And I felt nothing. No fury, no closure, just a hollow quiet. He had become just another person who happened to share a piece of my history. The fallout. 7 years later, the saga has taken on mythic status among our friends. It's the whispered warning shared between new couples. Financial planners bring it up in client sessions. Therapists reference it as a classic case of financial betrayal. Ella, now 17 and prepping college applications, wrote her personal essay about it. Her first line? When I was 8, I found out Uncle Mason wasn't just gay, he was the reason my parents split up. Everything that happened was connected. For me, the lesson wasn't about sexuality or even betrayal. What I truly came to understand was the way love and money are tightly woven together, how trust isn't just given, but backed by proof, and how every decision carries consequences. My father used to joke, love may be blind, but your FICO score has 20/20 vision. It started as a funny saying in our family. Over time, though, it shaped how I interpret relationships. Not with cynicism, but with a grounded, clear-eyed sense of reality. Love, at its best, should move us toward truth, not push us into secrets. It should illuminate, not obscure. I didn't choose a career in finance because I love numbers. I chose it because I've witnessed firsthand how financial literacy can be emotional armor. My mother learned that the hard way at a punishing 24.99% APR. I prefer to learn from lectures, not late fees. She got into Yale, that's the final tally. When people ask me what went down, I say this. Julia and Mason's relationship came with a staggering bill. 2 marriages, gone. 2 credit histories, wrecked. Multiple friendships irreparably scorched. Kids forced to grow up too fast. Professional lives upended. Immediate costs, tens of thousands. Legal bills, deep into the 6 figures. Recovery, 7 years and counting. The toll on trust, lifelong. So what did I come away with? Freedom from deception, flawless credit, a remarkable second wife, hard-earned clarity, a successful company, an instinct for spotting lies, and a dinner party story that always lands. Proof that I made it through. Was it worth it? Not the way I would have chosen to gain this perspective. But since I couldn't control the betrayal, I made sure I took control of what came next. And the kids? Ella ended up at Yale too, majoring in behavioral economics with a focus on financial psychology. Her thesis title, The Hidden Costs of Cheating, Predicting Relationship Breakdown Through Financial Secrecy. Jack chose Cal Poly, pursuing engineering. I like systems that either function or don't, he told me. Machines don't lie about what they are. They both kept in touch with Julia, though things were never truly whole again. When trust is broken in childhood, the fractures don't vanish. They just fade slightly. I love Mom, Ella said before heading off, but I'll never fully trust her. Is that awful? No, I told her. It's honest. Some people forfeit the right to be believed. Do you think she regrets any of it? Ella asked. Every time she opens a credit card statement, I said. She'll be paying it off for another 13 years. Because consequences don't just disappear, especially not when the interest compounds. The support group we started, Success, Straight Spouses Anonymous, expanded across the country. We ended up with chapters in a dozen cities, a thriving digital community, and a yearly conference with sponsorships from major credit bureaus. Tyler became our face in the media. His story resonated deeply. His TED Talk, "When Your Gay Best Friend Isn't Love, Lies, and the Cost of Trust," went viral. What did people take from it? Listen to your instincts. Scrutinize the finances. Don't trust neat little labels. Monitor your credit regularly. Secrets grow with interest. The truth finds its way to the surface. Healing is possible. The comments flooded in, similar stories from around the world. Apparently, the gay best friend who wasn't was more than a fluke. It was a trend. A decade later, we held a reunion. 10 years after everything imploded, the original members of the group, those who'd cried together, rebuilt together, met for dinner. Tyler raised a glass as always. "To credit scores," he said. "To real friends," we echoed. "To full transparency and open hearts. To never trusting anyone named Mason." "Hey," said the new Mason, holding up a hand. "I showed you my FICO score before our second date." "Then you're in," Tyler laughed. "Verify before you trust." We went around the table, sharing our updates. Sarah and I were still married, still separate finances, still monthly credit checks. Tyler and his new Mason had adopted twins, financed through open books and shared trust. Linda left her lying husband after discovering a secret account. Derek started a business helping people financially recover after betrayal. Even Julia's mother, Helen, joined the group after discovering just how deep her daughter's deceit went. "You know what's funny?" Helen said after her third glass of red. "I used to think Peter wasn't good enough for Julia, but I had it backwards." "Mom," I said gently. "No," she said, eyes damp. "I raised someone who lies, who cheats, who hides. How did I go so wrong?" "You didn't," I said. "She made her own decisions, bad ones." "She sure did." "Still paying off that card?" "She is," Helen replied. "And she'll be paying it for many years to come. 3 more years, almost there. Each monthly bill arrives like clockwork. A quiet reminder. Of what, though? That every decision comes with strings attached. That letting a credit card spiral out of control is a punishment in its own right. We toasted to that once. It's been 15 years since that accidental glance at the credit report that changed everything. Looking back, I owe Julia and Mason a strange kind of thanks. Not that they meant to help me. But their betrayal ripped away the facade I'd been living behind and forced me to face reality, unfiltered and raw. That's when Sarah entered the picture, someone who shares my commitment to brutal honesty and financial openness. What we've built together is real, no smoke, no mirrors. We don't rely on secret accounts or half-truths to stay afloat. Ella graduated with top honors, summa cum laude. Today, she leads financial literacy seminars for young couples at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. She credits her career path to the moment she saw how financial deception and emotional betrayal can go hand in hand. And Jack? He launched a mobile app that flags unusual credit activity. It's called Trust Buddy. Over 2 million downloads, a fact he slips into his bio like a footnote. As for Julia, she finally paid off that notorious credit card last month. She texted me a screenshot of the zero balance. One line, "It's done." I wrote back, "The debt is gone. The consequences aren't." She never replied. Mason disappeared from social media. Last anyone heard, he's still in Portland. Still working behind the espresso bar. Still describing himself as complex. Some lessons just don't stick. Tyler and the new Mason recently marked 10 years together. Their anniversary gift? A mutual credit score reveal. Both above 800. Tyler captioned the moment. "Transparency is the new foreplay." That's their version of romance. The moral of the story: if you're reading this with your own credit mess freshly uncovered, take a breath. You'll survive. The pain fades. The clarity doesn't. Go line by line. Keep a paper trail. Get a lawyer. Listen to your gut. It's probably telling you the truth. Find people who value honesty as much as you do. Your credit can recover. So can your trust. Some of the hardest discoveries turn out to be the doorways to the most authentic chapters of your life. But don't forget, if your relationship includes a waiting 547 balance at 25% interest, that's not love. That's a scam, with a shared playlist. Epilogue. The document that changed everything. Yes, I still have it. the credit report that detonated my old life. It hangs framed behind my desk at the nonprofit I now lead, a place that helps others navigate the wreckage of financial betrayal. Visitors always ask about it, so I tell them, all of it. I watch their faces cycle through shock, frustration, and then something like recognition. And I always end with this: check your credit report, monthly, no exceptions, because numbers won't lie. People will. That frame doesn't just hold paper. It marks the moment my life split in two, before and after. The second when I traded denial for the raw, uncomfortable truth. When I uncovered that Julia's so-called gay best friend was neither gay nor a friend, and definitely not worth $2,000. And learning that was priceless. It brought me to Sarah, to truth, to a life built on transparency instead of illusion, on real connection, not financial cover stories. Mason wasn't wrong about everything. It was complicated. But that credit report? That was simple. Just numbers, just facts, proof that my marriage had been a lie, and that the friend was charging champagne and silk to a fantasy. People say love conquers all. I say credit reports conquer more. Because when the gay best friend is secretly using a hidden card, that's not love. That's fraud and fancy packaging. And the moment you pull that report, that's when the truth walks in. And the truth always wins, even if it comes with a 24% APR attached.